Our next game takes us to one of the biggest upsets that we have picked. This one, UC San Diego, the 12 seed winner in the Big West, taking on Big Ten champion Michigan, who, we didn't really expect that. I think the trendy pick for us was to have them bounced early, and of course that didn't happen, and they end up winning the whole thing. I feel like that always happens, but anyway, here they are, number 5 seed in the South, taking on UC San Diego, who honestly probably could be higher than a 12 seed.
Yeah, I kind of expected them to, potentially sneak on that 11 line. I mean, maybe even like be considered for, at large regardless, but obviously that wasn't the case, but they were ultimately able to win the Big West. But yeah, this is a really good team, and it's probably the best mid-major. I'm not going to consider like Memphis or VCU really mid-majors, but I think they can absolutely give those teams a run for their money as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that, like we've talked about a bunch already, right? This is not the team Michigan wanted to see at all. UC San Diego forces 16 turnovers a game, and Michigan's weak spot, as we've seen, is turning the ball over. We've seen it time and time again in games that they've actually had control of, right? I remember that one at MSG against Arkansas in particular. That was a tale of two halves, horrific second half by Michigan. I forget the number of turnovers they had in the second half, but it was double digits. And Arkansas came back from a significant deficit to win that game. That's been their Achilles heel all year long. And they turn it over the 21st most in the country at 14.3 turnovers a game. So I expect UC San Diego, who turns it over at such an elite clip, to be able to turn this Michigan team over quite often, and that just kind of be where Michigan slips a little bit. I think that they're going to be riding high off this Big Ten championship that they just won, but this is not the team they wanted to see. I do worry, as I've said before, I worry about the size of Michigan, but I think that UC San Diego is going to be able to turn them over enough. And Danny Wolf, right? He wants to dribble more to get to the rim to use his size, and he's very susceptible to turning the ball over. So I do expect him to rack up his fair share of turnovers, and UC San Diego to be able to get out and run and create some offense that way. I like UC San Diego to win this game for sure.
Yeah, I think the defense has way too many advantages in this game against Michigan. I mean, like you said, they're the second best turnover rate defense in the entire country at 23%. That's a pretty ridiculous number in a good league in the Big West. Like the top half of that Big West league is really good. So, and they're a really good 2-point defense as well. They're 20th nationally in 2-point percentage defense, and they can keep teams away from the rim as well. And I know Michigan loves to run their 4-5 pick and roll with Wolf and Golden. So, and another factor, like UC San Diego they completely take away the post up game. So anything with Golden in the post is going to get trapped. And I don't trust Golden passing out of the post too. And even when he's passing out of the post, he's going to be kicking it out to shooters that I don't really trust to make shots at a high clip. Maybe Donaldson and Burnett can hit some shots, but all the other guys that profiles more of spot up shooters, I don't really trust all that much, like Roddy Gale, Reuben Jones. I don't really trust those guys to create any sort of offense. So yeah, I think it's a perfect matchup for UC San Diego's defense, and they can also control the pace in this game. And like I said on a pass pod, they're the best transition defense in the country on a points per possession basis. So they're going to be able to play this game at their pace. And obviously, when you play a slower pace as a mid-major team against a power conference team that has more athleticism, more size, and can arguably be more talented, I think that gives you a pretty major edge. And I think this is a better coach team. Like, it's not a knock towards Dusty May. I just think Eric Olin is one of the best coaches in the country, bringing this team up from D3 all the way up to the NCAA tournament in their first year being eligible as a Division I school. I just think he deserves all of the credit in the world. And on the offensive end, runs through Anawana with Tate Jones, and they have shooters at the disposal at his disposal to be able to kick out to. He can work through the post, work through the dribble handoff game with Ty Maguy and Hayden Gray, who are great shooters. They're both close to 40% at a 40% clip 3-point shooting wise. So I think this team could arguably be the better team on both ends of the floor. We just haven't been able to see it at a high volume against elite competition. But I think this is a spot where Michigan can get exposed once again.
Yeah, and the thing with Michigan too, right, is they let teams hang around, right? I think that I saw today on the Big Ten championship game, they played in like 16 points, 16 games with the score finished 5 or less. The deficit was 5 or less, right? They were 12-4 in those games. I think now 13-4. So they are super susceptible to close games and letting teams hang around, whether it's an inferior opponent or not. And as we've talked about, that's going to catch up with them at some point, and it has a little bit. And I think this is a spot where it can, because of that turnover issue and the turnovers that UC San Diego is capable of forcing. And UC San Diego is a confident team. They're not a team that, like, if you let them hang around, they're going to put their foot down and they're going to go for the kill, I think. So I think this is a really good spot for UC San Diego, not so much for Michigan. I think, like I said, I think UC San Diego handles it.
Yeah, for sure. And I think maybe the entire world's going to be on UC San Diego here once it, kind of catches up throughout the week that this Tritons team is really, really good. I don't really care if they're a popular Cinderella pick or not. The matchup is perfect, and I think they're a really, really good team. I've watched them for a lot of the season. Honestly, from night number 1 of the season when they played at San Diego State, I had my eyes on that game, mostly because I had money on it. But either way, UC San Diego has shown me that they're a really good team throughout the course of the entire season, and I'm ready to back them here.
Yeah, so look for them to be one of the double-digit seeds that makes it through the round of 32, and what most people will consider a popular 12-5 upset.